Brought to you by Penguin.
Crisis by Frank Gardner. Read by John Sackville. Prologue. Butterflies. Sunlight and butterflies. That was what he remembered. Dappled patterns on tropical foliage, bird calls from high up in the tree canopy, and so many butterflies. Really big ones. As big as a man's hand and blue as a gem. Dazzling, dancing, beckoning him to follow. Come with us, they seemed to say, and you'll be safe. In convoy, they drove out that morning, the families of the oil company senior executives, singing on their way to the annual corporate picnic. Last year, it was a private beach near Cartagena, and this year a country club on the very edge of the jungle. Beside drooping vines, there were trestle tables laden with food, baseball for the grown-ups, a makeshift jungle gym for the kids. And Luke Carlton, just turned 10, was bored to tears. Inquisitive and adventurous, the games did nothing for him. He watched, scowling and grumpy, as the CEO stood on an upturned crate. He was American, jowly and gregarious, with a big belly laugh and a lime-green polo shirt that struggled to contain his ballooning waistline. He was making some sort of speech in slow, halting Spanish with a terrible accent. Luke reckoned he and his classmates could speak better Spanish than that. Luke picked his moment. Unseen, he slipped away from the group and darted into the forest, following the butterflies. With every step, he expected to hear his name called and the sound of running footsteps followed by a sharp rebuke, but it never came. The path veered left, and he took it, arrived at a fork, and turned right. The butterflies were everywhere, folding their gossamer wings as they alighted. They were his friends. They had to be. Why else would they be showing him the way? More than once he stopped and held up his hands for them to land on. He smiled when one fluttered onto his nose and another onto his blonde hair, which his mother had brushed only that morning. He should probably be heading home, he thought, and began to backtrack down the path. But there, blocking his way, was a large fallen log. He didn't recognize it. At his feet, a trail of chestnut-coloured ants swarmed across the track. Soon the path gave out altogether, and there, hanging off his bare leg, was a leech. Slimy, black as a slug, gorging on his blood. He tried to flick it off with his thumb and forefinger, but it was stuck fast to his flesh. Luke shrugged. It didn't occur to him that he was lost, just that he'd be in trouble with his parents when he got back. At that moment he saw that he was not alone. There were 3 of them, standing silent and watching. Never in his wildest dreams had Luke seen anyone who looked like that. Their faces were painted a vivid purple, their scalps shaven smooth, and each had some black object inserted into his lower lip. Round their necks they wore strings of animal teeth, or were they bones? He couldn't tell. The men were small and wiry, naked but for the filthy cloths around their waists. 2 carried long curved bows, the third clutched a blowpipe. Their language was strange, all rasps and clicks, definitely not the Spanish they were teaching him at school. One moved, an arm slowly extending. Were they going to shoot him? Rooted to the spot, Luke wondered what it was like to be hit by an arrow. Did you die straight away, or slowly? Would it hurt? Were they going to eat him? But now they were making a sign to him, gesturing. They wanted him to follow them. They walked for hours. With clicks and grunts they urged him on, offering swigs of brackish water from the gourds at their waists. And then, through the tangle of forest vines, he could see a clearing. A dozen round thatched huts, smoky fires, barefoot children, the discarded carcass of a monkey. He caught his breath. A jeep from his father's company, with the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?